All right, Toledo and Bowling Green, a series characterized by equal parts competitiveness and malevolence. A couple of schools whose proximity fuels the hostility. The 69th edition of the Battle of I-75 in Ohio. Under clearing skies here at Dwight Perry Stadium, it's senior day. 15 Falcon seniors playing their final home game. And this game takes on a huge bit of importance. Here's a look at the standings in the MAC. In the East, Miami has already won it all. They're 8-0 in conference play, waiting in the clubhouse. They will play Thursday against the winner of this game between Bowling Green and Toledo. The loser, for all intents and purposes, is done for the season. And Bob, we have two teams who pump up the volume on offense.
Mark, this is going to be a high-scoring game. Both teams are ranked in the top 10 in the nation in total offense. Bowling Green and Toledo both run spread offenses and both feature great quarterbacks. By now, just about everyone in the country has heard about Josh Harris from Bowling Green. He's 6'3", all of 230 pounds, and averages about 320 yards a game total offense. Started his career as a running back. He's developed into an excellent passer. For Toledo, this is Bruce Gutowski's first year as a starting quarterback. Not as big of a threat as a runner as Josh Harris. He does a great job with play-action passes and bootlegs. Mark, he throws a lot of screens, quick passes, completed 72% of his passes. This might be a shootout today.
And Bob, you talk about both teams passing and throwing the ball. Look at those flags blowing very briskly. The wind coming at about 15, 20 miles per hour across the stadium. So that could have an impact on the game today. Bowling Green won the toss, deferring to the second half. Toledo will receive the opening kickoff. Both teams at 6-1 in conference play. This is for the West Division title. Moore on the return for the Rockets. And he's met by a bevy of tacklers at the 17-yard line. Well, we talked about Bruce Gutowski a few moments ago. He leads the nation, completing 72% of his passes, doing pretty well for a guy who wasn't even expected to win the starting job. And now, a look at our best buy backs and receivers. Lance Moore, one of the top receivers in the country.
Mark, you talk about Lance Moore, 96 catches, #1 in the country. And you talk about the wind, it won't affect Toledo that much because they throw a bunch of screen passes.
First down and 10. Ball at the 19. Going to run it on the first one. That's Trinity Dawson gaining about 6 on first down. Dawson running behind this offensive line, an offensive line that has only given up 9 sacks on the season.
Mark, they are huge. The 6th biggest offensive line in the country. They average 315 pounds. And Eric Fossen, number 74, 352 pounds. Bowling Green going to be overmatched size-wise, but I like this young freshman, Devin Parks, defensive end.
And off the edge, he has 5 sacks on the season. It's second down. About 4 to go. Gutowski keeps it and almost intercepted. Great break on the ball that time by Dion Newsom. Newsom part of the secondary. Here's a look at the linebackers, Carswell, Burks, and Hewitt.
Hewitt gets the start. Mark missed the last game with an ankle. He's the captain and the leader of this group.
And Newsom is the guy that broke up the pass a moment ago, adding to his team lead. Going by Norton at the safety spot. It'll be third down now coming up for the Rockets. Moore in motion. Moore on the bubble screen, got a block, and got the first down. We're going to see a lot of those screen passes today. Bob, like you said, they kind of use them like running plays.
They love the bubble screen, and Lance Moore caught 15 balls against Pittsburgh for 162 yards. They're going to get him the ball. You're going to see him come in motion right here. You mentioned the bubble screen. You're going to see him bubble back from the line of scrimmage. Ball's thrown behind the line of scrimmage, and then it's a run after catch. But I was down on the field before the game, Mark. This is a muddy field, and Toledo is a turf team, so advantage to Bowling Green.
First down and 10 for the Rockets. Their first of the ball game. this time, and that's Trinity Dawson once again. Got a couple of yards. Let's go downstairs to Holly Rowe.
Hey guys, as you've mentioned, this is a big rivalry, but this week, Toledo coach Tom Amstutz tried to downplay the rivalry. He said this is championship week. Everything around the football facility, the schedules, everything that was typed said championship week. Let's not lose sight that we're playing for a championship, not just for crosstown pride. As for Bowling Green, they got off to a great start last year, won their first 8, and then dropped the last game of the year to Toledo. Their cornerback Jensen Patton said, it's not how you start, it's how you finish, and this year we're going to take care of business.
Good point, Holly. Toledo, meanwhile, trying to compete in the MAC title game for the 3rd consecutive season, running the ball between the tackles up to the 43. Dawson spun off one tackler and got close to the first down at the 45-yard line. Dawson has had a lot of success this year, has 4 games of rushing for over 100 yards.
Mark, I like him. He's a tough running back. Interesting stories from Tulsa, Oklahoma. His family was thinking of moving to Detroit. He actually went to Michigan summer football camp, and that's where Toledo's coaches saw him. He never moved from Tulsa, but he ended up coming to Toledo. A lot of these players you see on the field today out of these summer camps in places like Ohio State and Michigan, and a lot of these assistant coaches from Toledo and Bowling Green work those camps to find these players, Mark.
First down and 10 after the nice run, and another gaping hole between the tackles. That is not the car, but the running back, Aston Martin. Martin with a nice gain out to the 46-yard line, a pickup of 9.
Aston Martin, Mark, the fastest player on the team, state 100 meters champion in Michigan, and actually is named after the car.
Ran like a truck on that one. Second down and 1.
You see a lot of these multiple tight end formations here by Toledo. Interesting. They do a lot of different formation things and like to run the football out of those multiple tight end sets.
They run it to the other side from the tight end formation. They get the first down. Greg Brandon, the first-year head coach, took over from Urban Meyer first season at Bowling Green and has kind of continued and built on that winning culture that Meyer started here.
He's done a great job, Mark. And you talk about this rivalry. Holly mentioned Tam Asmuntz downplayed the rivalry. He didn't downplay it to us yesterday in that meeting we had with him. And he's been at Toledo an awful long time as a coach, a player. And Greg Brandon kind of new to this rivalry.
A couple of schools separated by just 20 miles on I-75. First down and 10 for the Toledo Rockets. Running it again into the boundary. That's Aston Martin again. Martin with a nice game. Got those small running backs that get it done. And we talked about the proximity of the two schools. You jump on I-75. If you land in Detroit, it'll take you about an hour to hit Bowling Green, Ohio. You hit Toledo on I-75 first. And, you know, they don't really even mention Toledo by name here at Bowling Green. They just call it that school up north. Kind of taboo to mention. Second down and 4.
Andrew Clark, the tight end, now lined up in the backfield. Mark, we talked about these multiple formations.
Martin again. Tries to take it up inside and is stopped up. His forward progress is going to be marked at about the 35-yard line, leaving him 3 yards short of the first down. Matt Leninger, the 2-year starter, making the stop on the play for Bowling Green.
Mark, you talk about rivalry games. Not only is this a rivalry game, but it's all on the line today when you talk about the MAC West Championship. And it's amazing these two schools are only 20 miles apart, but a world of difference. Toledo, kind of the city school. Bowling Green sits out here in the country a little bit.
Falcon fans kind of look at the city school in a derogatory sense. 10th play of the drive coming up. On third down, Martin. Oh, it's going to be close. Not sure that he got the first down. Aston Martin, no taller than 5'8". Stopped up by Jason Morton, the free safety. Fourth down coming up.
And Mark brings up an interesting point. Tom Amstutz likes to go for it on fourth down. They've only made 2 field goals out of 5 attempts all year. Why? He loves to go for it on fourth down. When he was the defensive coordinator, he used to hate it when offenses went for it on 4th down because he wanted to get his defense off the field.
Yeah, they're about 50% on 4th down this season. Here it is, 4th and short, their opening drive, and they got the first down and then some. Martin with a first down at the 23 of the Falcons. Well, so much is said about the passing game, Bob, but the running game is moving well so far.
And Toledo, Mark, a predominantly one-back team, lines up with the tight end in the backfield, runs the power, and little Aston Martin squirts it up in there.
Good call. 10 touchdowns on the season by Martin. Tough to see you going for it on 4th down. Trinity Dawson back in the ballgame now at tailback. Play fake. Kelsey going to tuck it under and run. And he's brought down shy of the 20 by Morton and Mitch Hewitt.
Mark, you mentioned Grakowski, excellent play-action passer. This kid's a player. He comes out of Pittsburgh, was not real highly recruited, but he's had some unbelievable games this year. 49 completions against the University of Pittsburgh, 461 yards. This kid is a great player. Once again, not real highly recruited though.
Great game against Pittsburgh as Toledo defeated the Panthers. This is Trinity Dawson. Got about 3. Let's go downstairs to Holland.
Well, guys, you mentioned the field conditions. It did rain here on Thanksgiving Day. They did not tarp the field. It is very wet and muddy. As you can see from the players behind me, they're covered head to toe in mud. There's a 16-inch crown on this field, so most of the water has drained, but it has left a very muddy surface. We'll see how it affects both teams. Coaches will tell you offense does better in these conditions because they know where they're going. Defense has to react and sometimes slips a little bit more.
Holly, one thing that helps, when you average 320 pounds on the offensive line, those guys are pretty good mutters up in there.
One of the biggest offensive fronts in the country. This time, Trinity Dawson brought down behind the line of scrimmage by a knifing Keon Newsom, who leads the team in tackles and broke up a pass already earlier today.
And Keon Newsom, Mark, Bowling Green's #1 tackler. You're going to see him right here. He's going to come on the safety blitz and make a play. This kid is a good football player, also a basketball player. That's his 7th tackle for a loss. Legitimate chance to be an NFL player. Toledo, 6th field goal opportunity of the year.
Yeah, Jason Robinson to attempt this one from 36. And he is way off the mark. Well, it started off looking like a very impressive drive. It ends with no points on the board. Time for a break. When we come back, Josh Harris going to work for the Falcon offense. On the scoreboard, just underway here in the first quarter, Bowling Green and Toledo for the West Division title. And Bob, a 14-play drive by Toledo a few moments ago. How deflating is it? You come away with no points.
Well, I guess we can see why Toledo's only tried 6 field goals now all year. He didn't even come close. Deflating, but a great boost for Bowling Green's offense. We finally get a chance to see Josh Harris, this big-time quarterback, Mark.
All week long, the coaches have shown Harris an edited film of some of the 3rd downs previously in previous games against the opponent, Toledo. Brought in to start contrast some of his shortcomings. He promised to shore them up this afternoon. 1st down and 10. Little option play. P.J. Pope got a 1st down. P.J. Pope, one of the Best Buy backs and receivers. They have a slew of offensive weapons, including Cole Magner.
Cole Magner, Mark, out of Alaska, 78 catches on the season. And you mentioned P.J. Pope has a chance to be a 1,000-yard rusher.
Bowling Green, #2 in the country in total yardage.
Mark, in the first play, you see the 2 differences in this spread offense of Bowling Green. They love to run the quarterback, and they love to run option, so it's different than Toledo.
Harris back to pass, has plenty of time. And wide open at the 47, and they put it on the ground. Sanders dropped it. And they're going to rule it a fumble. Toledo ball.
Mark, the first thing you're going to see here is the strong arm and quick release of Josh Harris. The second thing you're going to see Steve Sanders, that ball is definitely a fumble right there. Without a doubt, he did have possession and a big, big turnover right here. You mentioned Toledo took the ball 8 minutes and didn't score. Bowling Green's offense marked only one opportunity here and only 6 minutes left in the first quarter. Bowling Green's defense back on the field.
Not getting much of a breather at all. Gronkowski in for the second drive of the ball game for the Rocket offense. Two receivers, split to the bottom of your screen. They're going to run it through the pile. It's Aston Martin. Got about 4 on the play, up to the 40-yard line. Well, so much was talked about their ability to pass the ball. So far, they've run it 14 times.
And Mark, one thing that comes up in this game, statistics on both teams outstanding on offense, but Bowling Green 71st in the country in turnover margin compared to Toledo at 10. So Toledo all year has won the turnover battle.
And they are moving the ball behind a huge offensive line. Picked off. The Falcons take it right back. It's Will Teague, number 97, as Gronkowski hit him right in the hands with it, seemingly. Teague got those hands up in a hurry, Bob, and it helped.
And Mark, you're going to see Teague kind of spies coming off here in a zone blitz. Gronkowski throws the ball right to him. We talked about turnovers, and it takes a defensive lineman, comes up and gets it back to 1-1. An even game on turnovers gives Bowling Green's offense a chance to get back on the field.
Will Teague dropping back on that zone blitz, and Bowling Green taking the ball right back at the 39-yard line, their own 39. That was the first interception of his career. And 5:47 to go in the first period. 6 left formation by the Falcons. Harris working out of the shotgun. There's the option. And chopped down at the 36-yard line is P.J. Pope by Patrick Body. The safety coming up with good run support. Here's a look at the Best Buy offensive line for Bowling Green. Murkowski had a brother that played at Purdue a couple of years ago. Going up against this defensive front for the Rockets in a 4-2-5 alignment, which they play. Some good ends.
95, 2 good ends, Mark, and also Chad Williams, this defensive tackle, is a good player. 16 tackles for loss, captain of the football team, 4 sacks this year, an emotional guy. He's a good football player.
Heck of a motor. 5:07 to go in the first period. Harris. Good catch. It was thrown kind of behind his intended receiver. Cornelius with the catch. Here's a look at the 2 linebackers in that 4-2-5, Jordan and Dodger.
Both these guys playing for the first time, Mark. They graduated 2 of their inside linebackers from last year. And you mentioned they play with 5 defensive backs. Keon Jackson, Michael Broussard, the 2 strong safety, rover-type guys, and Patrick Body, the free safety in the middle of the field, is really a good football player.
Looking at a 3rd down. About 9 to go. They got to get near midfield for the first. Harris has time. Underneath to Pope. And Pope is going to be close to the first down. Looks like he has it. Just shy of the 50-yard line. P.J. Pope, one of the most unheralded players on the entire squad. And he got the first down. You know, Mike Turner of Northern Illinois gets a lot of the hype in this conference, but Pope might be just as skilled and as good.
Mark, and I think did an excellent job right there on a wet, muddy field of just going north and south, not trying to do a whole bunch of shake, and picked up the first down. Once again, not a real highly recruited player, but did a great job in the Ohio All-Star game, and really Bowling Green got a steal with this kid.
It's in the first down and 10. Harris on the pitch on the option. That's Magner. Magner is brought down at the 45-yard line. Got about 5. Magner, a very skilled athlete, a multi-sport athlete.
Mark, this is an interesting concept they use right here to get Cole Magner the football. A lot of teams in the country run the decide zone right here, where you're going to see the quarterback pull the ball off the zone fake, but then they bring the wide receiver in motion from the other side or bubble him back from the same side and pitch him the football. That's Cole Magner's 15th carry on the season. So a different scheme right here of spread offense by Bowling Green.
Gonna run it inside. This is Pope. Pope is stopped at about the 43-yard line. Folks, Saturday, a full day of college football continues on ESPN at 3:30. Maryland hosts Wake, and then at 7:45 Eastern, it's Alabama meeting Hawaii in a game that has potential impact for the LSU Tigers and USC Trojans, teams who are fighting for a spot in the Nokia Sugar Bowl. All that strength of schedule stuff figuring into the equation there, Bob.
And Mark, that's why we don't want to play off in college football. Every game matters. There's Alabama and Hawaii tonight. Strength of schedule, critical. No one would care if we had a playoff about that game.
I might beg to differ with you. I love you.
Yeah, don't be rolling those eyes either. I don't like you rolling those eyes when I make a comment.
3rd and 3. Pope in the flat. Brought down just short of the 40. Looks like he's about half a yard short of the first down. Nice tackle by Michael Broussard. Former Wisconsin Badger, the transfer, making a nice tackle. And we have a 4th down situation, probably less than a yard to go. We've already seen Toledo go for it on 4th down and make it. And Harris stays on the field for Bowling Green. So far this season, Falcons are 12 of 16 in 4th down conversions.
Mark, and it's different now. 4th and an inch, and you're sitting back there in the shotgun. Woody Hayes and Bo Schembecker with cringe right now with him, okay?
Harris keeps it himself. And that's why no lead blocker, and O'Feely comes up, makes the stop short of the first down. So the first definitive statement of the ballgame, Bob, made by that Toledo defense. Timeout on the field. We'll be right back.
ESPN's College Football Saturday. Brought to you by Suzuki's award-winning automobiles, motorcycles, ATVs, and marine engines. All proud presenting sponsors of the Heisman Trophy. By Corbel California Champagne, making moments into memories. And by AT&T One Rate USA. Call anywhere in the country, anytime for one flat rate.
That was the scene just prior to the game. The Bowling Green Falcons in unison walking towards the stadium clad in orange. And a moment ago, they failed to make the first down. Toledo taking over now at their own 41-yard line. First down and 10 for the Rockets. Radkowski 0 for 2 passing so far. Have run the ball pretty well. Keeps it. Radkowski with a first down, pushed out finally at the 40-yard line.
Radkowski takes a page out of Bowling Green's playbook, runs the decide zone right there where you obviously read the defensive end. The defensive end closes right here. We're going to watch at the top. The defensive end right now chasing the ball carrier on the zone play. Radkowski reads it, comes out with the decide zone. No one at home. But one of the drawbacks of these teams, we saw 4th and short, Bowling Green out of the shotgun stop on 4th and short, Mark.
And what a tackle in the open field. Coming off the corner, the Falcon defense led by Jansen Patton brought down Steve Odom immediately after making the catch.
Jansen Patton marked 18 interceptions on the season. He's a 4.40 guy. Shows the NFL that he can come up and lay the wood too. Look for the bubble and go at some point though. It was a little bubble screen. He jumped on it. The next thing is to bubble and run by him. But an excellent tackle right there by Patton.
It's up a second down and about 12 to go. Under a minute to play here in a very quickly played first quarter.
You see Bowling Green in a 3-man front, Mark. instead of their conventional 4-man.
Toledo going to run it. Dawson stopped up after a gain of about 2 yards. Tackle made by Pipko. Third on the team in tackles, the senior team captain. Dawson getting a lot of work early here in the ball game.
Mark, we talked about high-scoring game. Bowling Green comes in averaging 35 points. Toledo 33 points. This game's going to be nothing at the end of the first quarter.
Who would have thought? In this, the battle for the MAC West Division title, the winner of this will host Miami on Thursday. That's the end of the first period, and let's go to Holly and see what's coming up next.
Well, you know this is a big rivalry game, and they play for the Peace Pipe. The trophy almost didn't make it to the game. We'll tell you about this morning's Comedy of Errors.
Back here at George Perry Stadium, Bowling Green, Ohio, 20 miles away from Toledo. Number 25, the Falcons, with no points. Toledo hasn't scored yet either. Talked about this being a huge rivalry. People from Bowling Green look at the people from Toledo as the city slickers, and people from Toledo look at the Bowling Green people as country hits.
And a lot of bragging rights, Mark, because these Bowling Green players, they don't tell their coaches this, but nightlife, when they go out at night, they head up to Toledo and frequent some of those establishments up there. So these guys run across each other a lot.
The darkness of I-75 North. Trinity Dawson, the lone back, beside quarterback Bruce Radkowski. Radkowski going to tuck it under and run and brought down at the 38-yard line by Devin Parks. Take a look at our Gateway game track. Both teams with a turnover so far. This one on a fumble. That was Bowling Green after the completion by Harris. And then they took it right back. Will Teague with the interception for the Falcon defense. And then on fourth down, the Rocket defense staunch in the middle, stopping the Harris run, taking over on downs. Into punt is Brandon Hannum, averaging about 44 yards per. With that rather intriguing and unconventional protection by the Bowling Green Falcons. This one, though, carries into the end zone. A 39-yard punt. It'll come back out to the 20. Time out of the field. When we come back, it's about Josh Harris and the Peace Pipe. A couple of offensive juggernauts in Bowling Green and Toledo, who combined average about 70 points total per game. Zeros on the board so far. This is a very hotly contested series, split right down the middle pretty much. The last 34 games, each team has won 17. They're playing for the Peace Pipe. We'll hear more from Holly Rowe on that in just a bit. First down and 10 for Josh Harris in Bowling Green.
Bowling Green only 9 plays in the first quarter. They've had over 600 yards offense 4 different times this year. 634 against Northern Illinois.
Jones along with Bob Davey and Holly Rowe here at George Perry Stadium in Bowling Green, Ohio. Harris going to keep it himself. Got about 4. The winner of this game moves on to play Miami, the champion of the East. And let's go to Holly.
Well, as coaches know, you go over extensive checklists before the game, especially a big rivalry game like this. Apparently, nobody thought to check off rivalry trophy. Did we bring it? The team arrived here at the game today, and they had forgotten to bring this trophy. It's the Peace Pipe. They've been playing for it since about 1948. Nobody had it with them, so they had to go back, find the football secretary. She's the only one who had a key or knew where it was. She drove it to Perrysburg Holiday Inn, switched off, and they finally got it here at the game.
And who would have ever thought, just looking at that thing, it fits so much. All right, Ollie, and pass complete to the 32. Let's go back to Reese in the studio.
Okay, Mark, Trev Alberts and Mark May here with me. Coming up 3 o'clock Eastern Time, Mike Stoops is expected to be named the new head coach at the University of Arizona. Kirk Herbstreit reporting that this morning. Stoops expected to stay with Oklahoma through the Big 12 championship game, but then he will leave and assume duties as head coach of the Wildcats. Do you like the timetable that they've set?
No, I don't. I think if you're going to accept the job at Arizona, you should go to Arizona right now. That's where your loyalties are, because they're not at Oklahoma anymore.
Forget the timetable. He deserves it. He's going to be great at Oklahoma. They needed a tough pill down there. They're going to get it with Mike Stoops.
Oh, way.
Mike Stoops expected to take over at Arizona 3 o'clock Eastern. Bob Stoops is going to join us later in the day on College Game Day Scoreboard.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. Alexander making the stop on B.J. Lane that time at the 32. 11 yards to go for the first down. It'll be second down coming up.
Mark, a big part of this game, we haven't had a chance to talk much about Toledo's defense, but they're primarily a zone team. Bowling Green's going to try to make them displace those linebackers and spread out with his receivers and run the football. Toledo, they're going to try to keep those linebackers in the box. So it's all about how many people in the box. Also, look for Toledo to bring those defensive ends down inside and make that football spill outside.
Let's look at Lou West, the defensive coordinator for the Rockets. Bob, how much does it help them to make Bowling Green go east-west?
Well, they love to run those quarterback wrap plays with Josh Harris going north and south. They want to spill him outside. But anytime you walk those linebackers out, you need to bring the defensive ends down inside, Mark, to replace those gaps.
Right, second down and 11. Magner in motion. Harris complete. First down at the 47-yard line. Steve Sanders into Toledo territory.
Steve Sanders, a big, tall receiver. Mark, this guy's about 6'4". Toledo right here bringing some pressure off the corner. Steve Sanders, good throw, good catch. Steve Sanders came to life last week, Mark. Had his opportunity with some injuries. Charles Sharon out of the football game. Actually, Charles Sharon attended a funeral, a death in the family. He stepped up and took advantage of his opportunities. Continues to play pretty well.
This offense, a receiver's dream. First down and 10. Looking for the double pass. Magner back to Harris. He has a wall of blockers ahead of him. Josh Harris. Harris. Touchdown Falcons.
Pass complete to Josh Harris. Touchdown Falcons.
48 yards for the score.
Mark, you can see why they love Cole Magner. 78 catches on the year, 15 carries. Now he throws a touchdown pass on the bubble screen, throw back to the quarterback.
Threw that like a quarterback, didn't he?
Those guys from Alaska, they are multi-talented guys up there, Mark.
You got to survive.
Everyone in the country is going to be recruiting Alaska after this game.
The extra point is good. And the Falcons in the battle for the MAC West Division title take a 7-0 lead. Using a little bit of smoke and mirrors, trick them. We'll be right back. Well, we finally got somebody on the scoreboard. Number 25, Bowling Green, striking on the double pass from Magner to Harris. 48 yards for the score, and that was very well set up. That was Magner's 5th career touchdown pass, huh? Not bad for a wideout.
Not much else to do up in Alaska but play ball, Mark. Those guys do a lot of different things. But a great story on recruiting Cole Magner. Urban Meyer was the head coach. Greg Brandon had Cole Magner in the summer football camp at Colorado. Greg Brandon comes to Bowling Green as an assistant under Urban Meyer, talks Urban into flying him in from Alaska. They spent $800 on the ticket, which really hurt the Bowling Green recruiting budget. And the first time the kid walked in, Urban said, "What are you doing, man?" He didn't look very good on the hoof, but it was the best $800 Bowling Green ever spent, Mark.
Had some injuries on the basketball team. He filled in very well there, too. This is Lance Moore on the return for the Rockets. He is jettisoned at the 29. Let's take one more look at the touchdown.
Mark, they're going to bring Rodney Gamby from the backside on the corner fire. They're going to throw the bubble screen, and because Gamby comes on the blitz, there is no one backside. So Cole Magner throws the ball back across the field, and look at this convoy. Not a great job blocking right here, but they don't need it. And Josh Harris takes it into the end zone. Great play design. Caught them in the wrong defense. And that Cole Magner's a good-looking guy. He might be a movie star someday, too, Mark.
Got those matinee idol looks. Kind of a Fabio-type look to him. First down and 10, meanwhile. Toledo trying to counter. With 12-11 to go in the first half. They're going to run the ball. Nice gain by Trinity Dawson. Brought down just short of the first down. For more on Magner, let's go downstairs to Holly Rowe.
Hey guys, not only did they have to get the $800 plane ticket and fly him in, but they had one scholarship left. The assistant coaches took a vote whether they should offer it to Magner. It was 6-5, but by one vote, he was offered a scholarship here at Bowling Green. I think they're pretty happy it went that way.
No doubt, Holly.
Mark, the guy plays basketball, too.
Had some injuries with the basketball team. He ended up starting a bunch of games. He had a personal foul, meanwhile, on the last play. That was why the flag was thrown. And they're going to bring this one back against Toledo. Going to spot it all the way back at the, well, it looks about the 23, 22-yard line. Second down and about 17 to go. Former Rocket player and now present head coach Amstutz a little disgruntled on the sideline, trying to figure things out. Second down and 17. Radkowski audibly throws it into the boundary, complete at the 28 to Lance Moore. Well, Tuesday night's ESPN coverage of the ACC Big Ten Challenge presented by 989 begins with a double dip. First at 7, Bracy Wright and Mike Davis's Hoosiers meet Justin Gray and the Demon Deacons. And at 9 Eastern, D. Brown leads Illinois against Rashad McCants, Ray Felton and the Tar Heels. Illinois, North Carolina also available on ESPN HD, now available nationwide. The ACC Big Ten Challenge presented by 989 on ESPN. And we have a timeout on the field called by the Rockets. We'll take one, too. The winner of this moves on to play the Miami, the winner of the East. We'll be back after this.
ESPN's College Football Saturday. Brought to you by the next Ford F-150. Built Ford tough. And by Best Buy. Thousands of possibilities. Get yours.
Back at Deutsch Perry Stadium here at Bowling Green, Ohio, just off I-75. The hometown Falcons, ranked number 25, leading 7-0. Toledo with the ball, looking at third down and long, 10 to go. The winner of this game plays Miami of Ohio Thursday night.
Mark, this crowd is into this football game, obviously, and Bowling Green's won 12 straight games in this stadium.
Radkowski out of the shotgun. Incomplete, intended for Moore. And the Rockets will punt. Jelani Jordan with good coverage on the corner that time by the Falcon defense.
And Mark, we're going to get a chance here to look at Toledo's punt formation. It is really a different looking punt formation. In fact, it's the formation that Tom Amstutz used in high school. And they put these big offensive linemen back here, including Eric Fossen, 6'8", 350 pounds, to really protect the block point. But it's different than what anyone does.
There's Moore. Check that handle. And no return on that punt. Well, Sharon, no return on the 50-yard punt. Well, Josh Harris's team is behind in the time of possession department, but up where it counts. We'll be back. Bowling Green with the ball, first down and 10. On their own 18-yard line. One team doing it on the ground, the other doing it through the air. Josh Harris is perfect so far, 5 for 5 passing. Going to run it this time. Nice gain out to the 25. Got about 7. You can't sleep on the MAC conference. That has been a lesson learned the hard way by several teams and conferences this year.
And I'll tell you what you see, Mark, these games at home where you have Toledo coming into a MAC school, Pittsburgh coming into a MAC school, Maryland coming into a MAC school, Iowa State coming into a MAC school. That's a good news, bad news. Because I'll tell you what, those BCS schools won't be coming back to those MAC schools after they see what happens.
Tough to schedule them and get them to agree to come back, huh? Second and 3, here's the option. Nice tackle on the edge by Anthony Jordan. DJ Pope Brought down at about the 26-yard line. It'll be third down and short.
Mark, and Josh Harris came to Bowling Green as really a running back. He had over 100 yards rushing in a game, I believe, against Miami of Ohio as a freshman. He's 230 pounds. He's actually down 5 pounds. He was up to 235 pounds. Much better passer, though, this year even than he was last year as far as accuracy is concerned.
Flew into a net the entire summer to improve his accuracy. Looking at third down and 2. Toledo coming with a bit of a blitz here. And Harris incomplete. Intended for Steve Sanders, and they'll have to punt. For more on Harris, let's go downstairs to Holly.
Hey guys, when you're talking about Josh Harris, a lot of big programs recruited him as an athlete or as a tailback, but he insisted on staying at the quarterback position. That's why he came to Bowling Green. He did play some tailback his freshman year because of necessity due to an injury to their starting tailback, but they immediately put him back at quarterback. He actually started his first game against Toledo as a freshman, and the rest is history. He's the most successful quarterback in Toledo history, the only quarterback to lead them to BCS wins over BCS teams.
And the best thing that happened to Josh Harris, Mark, Urban Meyer came in here. He put in a scheme of a spread offense, accentuating quarterback runs. Really got a lot of that scheme from West Virginia, Rich Rodriguez, Northwestern, Randy Walker. That's been the best thing. Now Josh Harris, everybody in the country knows about him.
He's benefiting from it. Here's Fry's punt. Came down at the 39. Lance Moore, a nice return out to the 46. And Saturday, a full day of college football continue on ESPN. Alabama, Hawaii, Maryland, Wake Forest, a lot of teams in contention. 3:30 and 7:45 Eastern Time, respectively. Maryland, Wake, and then Alabama, Hawaii. Here's a look at the BCS standings presented by Allstate. 1 and 2, it's Oklahoma, USC, but interesting things can happen in that Hawaii-Alabama game, depending on strength of schedule and what happens.
See, again, why it's the best system. You actually bring up Alabama, Hawaii when you're talking about the BCS championship.
Nice run between the tackles. Trinity Dawson. Looks like he got the first down at about the 42. 9:40 to go in the first half. Trinity Dawson had 4 games already this year where he went over 100 yards rushing, averaging 5 points in this one. Bob, you surprised that we've seen them run the ball as much as they have?
Not really, Mark. I mean, that's what I like about their offense. They have the ability to get physical, and I think Rob Spence, the coordinator, has done a great job taking advantage of these multiple tight end packages. He's actually a 4-wide guy. Had come in from Louisiana Tech. He's incorporated this physical running game into his attack.
Play fake by Gradkowski. Didn't find anyone open downfield and takes off. Oh, and he got a smashing block at the 34-yard line. Steve Odom rattled somebody's feelings out there. And Gradkowski tiptoed out of bounds, gaining 11 yards.
We're going to get a chance to see this again. Gradkowski coming out, scrambling, shows his escape ability. But you're going to get a chance to hear this lick by Steve Odom. It's on Mitch Hewitt, the linebacker, so Odom. Oh. It was actually on T.J. Carswell, number 9. That was a great lick by a wide receiver, Mark.
Peeling back. This is Aston Martin. You know, that was so good, Bob. We got to have another look and listen.
I'm just going to be quiet, Mark, and let you enjoy this.
Oh. Tell you, when he comes to, his clothes are going to be out of style.
You don't see that during the ACC Big Ten basketball challenge that you're going to be doing this week, do you?
Not that wrong.
You get a little bit of your fix of that right here in the football.
It's a little close. Second down and 8. Martin again brought down at the 28-yard line. Aston Martin, a fast guy, former 100-meter state champ in high school, but on this type of field and this track, it takes a little more than speed to maneuver your way through the defense. Mark Burks made the tackle.
You're right, and the home team has won the last 5 games in this matchup. I think this is a big advantage for Bowling Green because Toledo does play on artificial surface, and they practice on artificial surface. They practice right in their stadium, and it's a whole different dynamic when you get on grass, particularly muddy grass.
Looking at third down now and 7 to go. Gronkowski under heat and threw it away. It'll be fourth down. They already tried a field goal early in this game and missed. Fourth down. Jason Robbins is 2 of 6 on the season. Good pressure that time by Rick Mauer.
Mark, they're going to go for this on fourth down, but you had to laugh last night. We're talking to Tom Amstutz, and we're talking about the grass field. He's saying, you know what, I know they haven't cut that grass in 2 weeks. And then he was worried about the sprinkler being on last night, muddying it down for him.
Literally the home field advantage. Timeout on the field, 7:41 to go in the half. We'll be back. Toledo looking at fourth down. Bob, do you go for it or do you try another field goal attempt, in which they missed the first time around with Robbins?
Mark, not to be sarcastic, but after watching Jason Robbins on that first attempt, I would definitely go for it. I mean, he's 2 for 6 on the year. His long is 37 yards. And if you look at his first attempt here, he blew a tire on that one.
Yeah.
He didn't really slip on the turf, but he kind of caved in. So they're going to go for it right here.
Well, they made their earlier fourth down conversion. You can go for it again. This one a little bit longer, though. You got 7 to go.
A little surprising, Mark. They line up in a bunch formation with a tight end in the game. Not as much empty formation as I thought we might see today out of Toledo, trying to stretch this Bowling Green defense out.
They had a fourth down and 7, and we talked about the field.
Mark, that is really, I don't mean to interrupt you, that's really a muddy part, the middle of the field between those hashes.
If Bowling Green wins, they're going to have to get this field ready for a game on Thursday night against Miami of Ohio. More pressing matters right now, though, on 4th and 7 for the Rockets. Clark in motion. Gronkowski completes it for the first down at the 11-yard line to Steve Odom. Odom having a successful year, has the most receptions ever by a Toledo freshman.
Mark, you mentioned that a freshman receiver, he's going to come down right here and really just run a square-in curl route. Excellent delivery right there. Starts with the protection, Mark. Toledo's only given up 9 sacks all year. Big fourth down conversion right there.
They have the 6th largest offensive line, protecting quarterback Bruce Gronkowski. 17-yard pickup, first down and 10. Martin brought down at the 9-yard line by Keon Newsom. As we approach 7 minutes to go here in the first half.
And again, you see Keon Newsom, the safety, but he's their #1 leading tackler up there making the play, Mark. He also plays basketball. Punt blocker kind of guy, does a lot of things. This kid has a chance to play in the NFL. Another one of those players. Bowling Green's gone outside the state. This time going down to Georgia to get him to come up there.
Second down and 9. Martin in the backfield. With a side option, Gronkowski keeps it himself. Couldn't get by the corner, though. Jelani Gordon. Just shy of the 5. We're here in Bowling Green, Ohio, as the Falcons host the Rockets. I'm Mark Jones, along with Bob Davey and Holly Rowe. The winner of this game meets the winner of the East Division in the MAC, Miami of Ohio, on Thursday night in the championship title. Toledo trying to play in that championship title game for the 3rd consecutive season. Both teams at 6-1.
And a huge advantage for Miami, I think, Mark, just on the 1 day more rest. Having played yesterday, beating Central Florida down in Orlando, they get a chance to sit at home today and watch and get really an extra day preparation for the game.
Toledo burning its final timeout with 6:24 to go until halftime. We'll be back. Third down and short, and let's go downstairs to Holly.
Hey guys, a lot of coaches call timeout to talk strategy, but the last 2 timeouts here for Toledo have been called in large part to clean their cleats. Before that big 3rd down conversion, they called timeout. Everybody came over and cleaned their cleats on this big white comb on the sideline. Again, here in the huddle, every key player on offense had to get his cleats cleaned either by the white comb or an assistant with a popsicle stick. That's good heads-up thinking, making sure every little detail is taken care of.
All right, hey, Bob, did you ever have a cleat cleaning coach?
Well, depending on how good that player was and how critical it was, I'd be out there cleaning it myself if it impacted winning or losing. I promise you, Mike.
They can make a first down without scoring a touchdown. This is the 9th play of the Rocket drive. Still trying to find the end zone for the first time today. Radkowski has a man on the corner. Touchdown. Clark, the tight end. His 8th touchdown catch of the season puts the Rockets within a point of Bowling Green.
And Mark, this is the best tight end in the MAC conference. That's his 18th career touchdown catch and an excellent design on that play of going bunch formation and then working Andrew Clark out to the flat.
Keep an eye on Robbins here. Bob on the extra point. He slipped last time on the field goal attempt, missing. This time he knocks the extra point through. We're tied at 7 apiece. And that touchdown pass by Gradkowski was the 27th of the season, tying a school record. Time for Josh Harris to answer. Can he? We'll find out when we come back. Tied at 7, and Bob, it looked like on that last touchdown pass, Bowling Green had a tough time matching up.
Mark, a great design. You're going to see Odom, the wide receiver, coming in motion. He's going to come down and pick, and Clark, the tight end, is going to work to the flat right here. Excellent play design. You're going to see Odom come inside. Clark works to the flat. Good throw, well-designed play. Andrew Clark, Mark, had a 66-yard touchdown pass against Northern Illinois on a 3rd and 33, maybe the biggest play in that game. I really like this tight end. He's a talented player.
Tied at 7 with 6:19 to go.
And go back to the 4th down conversion by Toledo to keep that drive alive. But I am concerned right now about the field goal extra point kicker, Jason Robbins for Northern Illinois. Mark, he's struggling even though he made that extra point.
It don't look that comfortable. That's one out of bounds. It'll come out to the 35. Let's go back to Reese.
All right, Mark, Tennessee's beaten Kentucky 18 straight times. Cats on the doorstep as Taco Bell takes us to Commonwealth Stadium in Lexington, and we watch Arliss Beats pound his way into the end zone. Kentucky has an early 7-0 lead on the Volunteers. Syracuse trying to become bowl eligible. They're up by a touchdown on Rutgers.
Syracuse, another reason why we don't want a playoff system, that the BCS system is the best. Syracuse still playing for a bowl game, Mark, today with Rutgers, so every game matters in college football.
I'm sensing you're a little anti-playoff.
Well, ever since you rolled your eyes when I brought up that system.
Bring me the playoff. Pass complete. Harris on the money. Let's go downstairs to Holly.
Well, guys, that last touchdown came at a cost. Aston Martin, their running back, took a monstrous hit. He's been on the sidelines going through the mother of all concussion tests. He's had to balance on one foot, close his eyes, do all kinds of tests. They still have not cleared him. They're still trying to see if he has the dilated pupils and a concussion. We'll let you know as soon as we find out if he'll be back in the game or not.
All right, Holly. 2nd down and 5. Like Bowling Green moved a little bit early. Cornelius McGrady, number 8, the receiver.
Prior to the snap, full start on the offense, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Mark, getting back to the MAC conference, having a chance to watch a lot of tape this week and look at some different teams and different schemes, I'm really impressed with the level of football X and O's in this league. It used to be a little Big Ten I formation, line up and run, ISOs and power plays. It now is a spread out league, a lot of diversity, a a lot of different styles of offense, and that's why you see these players like Josh Harris emerging.
They got some of the highest scoring teams in the nation this time. From 2nd down and 10, little screen pass. Harris completes it to Pope, who's brought down immediately, stuck at the 34. It'll be 3rd down and long. Interesting about Josh Harris, interesting temperament, Bob. A very quiet type of individual, quiet to a fault. Actually, last spring break, you're going to love this, folks. He went off and got married. Nothing strange or unusual about that, but he didn't tell anybody. Didn't tell his teammates, didn't tell his coaches. Came back and said a couple weeks later, hey, coach, by the way, I got married.
Well, he wanted that gift.
He registered at Tiffany's.
He
right?
realized if he didn't tell anyone, there was no gift in the mail.
Harris completes this one. Nice move by Pope, but he's brought down short of the 1st down. Let's go downstairs to Holly for more on Harris.
Hey guys, well the reason that Josh Harris got married is kind of interesting. His fiancee Tammy was graduating from Ohio State. She needed to move away from campus and find a place to live, but they didn't want to live together before they were married. So they did it quietly and quickly so that they could obtain their moral standards. Kind of a nice thing for a college football player.
Sure is. Harris is a former sweetheart and now his wife, a former track star at Ohio State.
Over a 3-point student also at Bowling Green. Mark and I spoke to him before the game. He is a heck of a young kid.
On 4th down and 2. Gleason going to punt, standing on his own 30. Lance Moore standing at his own 20. They're not going to get this one off.
Delay on the offense at the 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Rick Brendan's team has run about half as many offensive plays as Toledo has so far.
In Bowling Green, Mark, Greg Brandon right there. Really a pretty good decision. Let the clock run down. Toledo with no timeouts, although 3:46 left in the 1st half. Not a critical factor just yet.
Memphis Gleason. Moore calling for the fair catch at the 32. And folks, college football Saturday on ABC Sports tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. Number 10 Miami taking on number 21 Pittsburgh, or Notre Dame against Stanford. Check your local listings for the game in your area. Pittsburgh with a huge opportunity tonight in the Big East. If they defeat Miami, they got it.
What do you think, Mark?
I think, well, more than anything
Don't
else.
start stuttering.
I'm going to talk about Larry
Pittsburgh or
Fitzgerald.
Miami. I know what you think about Larry Fitzgerald.
I got to go back.
Pittsburgh or Miami.
I have to go back to South Florida. I'm going to pick the Hurricanes. I think Larry Fitzgerald is the best player in the country. Here's Gronkowski. Put his hat down at the 40, powered through to the 43, running over Newsom.
And Mark, these misdirection runs or play action, I think, on a wet field are really difficult on the defense to change direction. And right there you see Gronkowski come out of there and puts his head down, or had his head put down for him by Newsom, the free safety.
Here it is now. 1st down and 10 as a result. Hope. Out near midfield, Dawson.
Dawson, the ball carrier for Toledo. Number 94, man.
Out near midfield at the 49-yard line, Trinity Dawson.
Trinity Dawson, Mark, we find out a lot of little tidbits. Recorded a gospel album with his sisters that you were anxious to get your hands on yesterday.
I listened to my share of, gospel music. Kirk Franklin and the family. 3:09 to go in the 1st half. Toledo doing it primarily on the ground.
We haven't seen as many screens as we thought we would see, Mark, out of Toledo.
Gronkowski looking for a man up top and going downtown. A flag down at the 15. Keon Newsom defending on the play in the secondary on Andrew Clark.
Mark, we talked earlier when Jansen Patton jumped up and made the play on the screen. We said the next thing would be jailbreak and go or bubble and go. There we saw it.
On the defense, on the eligible receiver, at the 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
You're going to see Keon Newsome right there. Mark, good call because the jersey was pulled. Andrew Clark, the big tight end, didn't really affect the outcome of that play, though. By that, I mean Keon Newsome really didn't have to. An unfortunate call right there. Gives Toledo a first down.
Newsom pretty aggressive there today so far. Playing well from the safety spot. He's already broken up a few passes. That time got caught. Toledo running at Trinity Dawson, and we are told now from the sidelines from Holly Rowe that Aston Martin has been cleared to return, although he will not come back on this series. Jelani Jordan making the stop on Dawson. Under 3 minutes to go here in the first half. First half, Bob, where we thought there might be a few more points on the board.
No question, Mark, and this has to be frustrating for Greg Brandon because the longer Grabowski's out there, the less Josh Harris is out there for Bowling Green. And it keeps Bowling Green's offense on that sideline.
Grabowski back to pass again. Throws it up for grabs. Out of bounds, incomplete. Nice attempt by Lance Moore. Tiptoeing down the sidelines. That's the NCAA's leading receiver coming in.
Mark, he's fighting it, trying to keep his toes in bounds. Really a great job by Lance Moore, but he is out of bounds. But great hand-eye coordination. Jelani Jordan, number 27 on the coverage. Only one reception today for Lance Moore. Came in with 96 catches, Mark.
Looking at the 3rd and 5 here, Bob, for the Rockets. Clark in motion. Blitz coming, and they pick it up and get the first down at the 30-yard line. Moore, this time hung on, inbounds, tackled by Hewitt. Let's go back to Reese.
All right, Mark, coming up on the Miller High Life halftime report. Trev, Mark will join me. Stoops leaving the Sooners. Don't worry, they still have the big one in place. What will be in the SEC? Maybe not what we expected, and we'll check out and see who your band is.
Look at the SEC East, Mark, right now. Kentucky playing Tennessee. Kentucky winning up front. The battle physical right now against Tennessee.
And I'll tell you about Miami of Ohio quarterback Ben Roethlisberger. Big day yesterday.
All right, Mark, yeah, that brings up a good point about Miami, Ohio, and the way they beat Central Florida. Central Florida expected to do a lot better this year, Bob, considering they made a little bit of noise with a bit of bravado coming in.
No question, Mark. Every place we went yesterday, people talked about Central Florida and some of the statements they made getting into the MAC.
And Gradkowski keeps it, getting the first down. It'll be 1st and 10. There's a look at the East standings. Central Florida, previously mentioned, finishing up at 2-6. Roethlisberger doing a great job for Miami, Ohio, leading them to a perfect 8-0 in conference play.
Miami, Ohio already accepting a bid to the GMAC Bowl in Mobile.
1st down and 10 for the Rockets on the move. With 1:20 to go. They're out of timeouts, though. Gradkowski going to run and falls down at the 26. Fowler in on the tackle.
Gradkowski, Mark, you're going to see right here, just slips on the field. Really a good job by Bowling Green's defense. Nowhere to really go on the quarterback draw. Number 77, Mike Thaler on the play.
2nd and 17. And keep in mind, the Rockets' place-kicking game behind Jason Robbins a little bit questionable, dubious at best. Clark in motion. Gradkowski wide open underneath to Moore. Moore scores! And the Rockets cash it in. Lance Moore came underneath and got his 8th touchdown catch this season. 10th of his career.
Great protection again, Mark, and it allowed Lance Moore time to come from the opposite side of the field on a shallow cross route. Great protection. Grabowski steps up and makes the play.
And he is now the record holder for most touchdown passes in a season in school history. Bradkowski, they weren't even sure that he was going to win the starting job, but the jury has rendered its decision. He is the man. Unquestionably so. We'll be back. They got the lead.
It's go time. The beasts of the East meet the best of the West for one final showdown in the MAC Football Championship game. Don't miss any of the hard-hitting, high-flying, head-turning, helmet-crashing action. Be a part of the MAC Football Championship experience. Log on to mac-sports.com for more information. The MAC Football Championship game. It's time to represent.
A major breakthrough in the treatment of one of them.
Flight 482 preparing for
Bowling Green State University, the caliber of education needed to empower the next generation of leaders.
The Rockets now with 14 unanswered points to take a 7-point lead with 29 seconds to go. Pretty impressive drive, using just 3:10 on the clock and managing the clock well, Bob, with no timeouts remaining.
And Lance Moore coming to life, Mark, on that drive.
Bowling Green with a couple of timeouts remaining. Going to see how far they can move it downfield, perhaps getting in field goal range. Quick kick comes down to the 35, and let's take one more look at the touchdown.
Mark, we're going to look at this, and it all starts with protection. And watch the center, Odenthal, right here. He's engaged on a defensive lineman, but he feels the linebacker coming, and he comes off and makes a great block on Javon Burke right there. Allows enough time for Lance Moore to come across on the crossing route, but a great job by Odenthal. Gave enough time against zone coverage for those clearing routes to work, and Lance Moore coming underneath.
You're not going to find a better illustration of how the offensive line does an unheralded job. People don't notice that unless you watch a replay or two.
And Mark May jumped out of his seat back in Bristol, Mark, on that.
Harris on the move. Slides into the 44, a couple yards short of the first down. With 10 seconds to go in the first half, the Falcons trailing after taking a 7-0 lead. Josh Harris came out on fire, completing his first 6 passes, but right now, Greg Brandon's Falcons trail 14-7. The winner of this will move on to play Miami, Ohio in the conference championship game. It's 14-7 to the break right now. Let's go to Reese, Trev, and Mark. Guys, it's not as muddy. Back at Perry Stadium here in Bowling Green, Ohio. Just 20 miles separate Toledo and Bowling Green State University. 14-7, the Rockets with the lead. Miami has won the Eastern Division in the MAC. The winner of this game wins the West. The loser, for all intents and purposes, might be done for the season. Thursday, you can see that championship game on ESPN2 at 7 o'clock. I'm Mark Jones, along with Bob Davey, Holly Rowe down in the field. The interesting first half, Bob. Lower scoring than we thought, although statistically things evened out in terms of time possession.
Exactly, Mark. And I think Bowling Green is affected, even though they're at home, a little more by this wet field. They've only run 21 plays for the first half. They average 80 plays a game. What's made it hard on Bowling Green, they're 1 for 4 on third downs, 0 for 1 on fourth downs, and they've turned the ball over. Toledo, on the other hand, 30 runs, 11 passes, average 36 passes a game. So they're running the ball a little bit more than you normally see it. The field doesn't affect them as much because they've got the big offensive line and they run the ball downhill a little bit more. Bowling Green, more of a finesse running team. I think this field affects them and Josh Harris in the running game more than it does Toledo. But Mark, bottom line, one half of football for the MAC West Conference Championship. Chance to play in the conference championship game, and Bowling Green gets the ball here to start the second half.
Bowling Green trying to make it into that title game. Toledo, meanwhile, has played in that MAC championship game for the last 2 years running, trying to make it 3. Remember, it is blustery, the wind blowing across the field, from the north side to the south side of the stadium. The Rockets kicking off. Bowling Green, the Falcons to receive. Back at the 15-yard line, that's B.J. Lane. Lane plowing out to the 28. Let's take a look at our Gateway game tracks. The coach and points of the game so far. Josh Harris started off hot, made his 6 completions in a row to start the game, but this was the touchdown run on the pass from Magner. 48 yards for the score, then Gradkowski countering and hooking up with more on that one for the touchdown score as they went ahead 14-7, and the winner wins the West and plays Miami, Ohio on Thursday. 1st and 10 for the Falcons at their own 29. Harris over the middle, complete to Magner for the first down at the 46 in Toledo territory immediately.
Bowling Green in 2-by-2 formation, balanced. Toledo a 3-deep team right there, and they split the free safety with Cole Magner going up the seam. Mark, the strong safety tried to carry him, but a great throw by Josh Harris.
A 25-yard pickup. That's run by Pope. Made one tackler miss. Down to the 42. Let's go to Holly.
Number 53, Ray Turner.
As I talked to the coaches at halftime, and Greg Brandon said his philosophy for the second half is simple. He told his kids they have to possess the ball. They did not have it in Josh Harris's hands enough in the first half. They've got to change that. He also said they've got to stop the running game. Toledo has been uncharacteristic and gashed them on the ground. Now for Tom Amstutz and the Rockets, he told his kids, now's the time you believe in yourself. Play with your heart for 30 minutes, and we play for the championship.
All right, Holly, 2nd down and 7. Behind at the time of possession in the first half. Harris still red hot. Josh Harris completes it to the 34. Anthony Gordon.
Mark, and this guy has not lost a game as a quarterback in this stadium. Playing today here on Senior Day. Really played pretty good in the first half. You look at his stats right there, 11 for 12 passing. Bottom line, he just hasn't had the ball enough, but don't panic. Stay with what in the framework of your offense. You're going to get enough opportunities right here.
Harris has now done over 3,000 yards passing for this season. Looking for a little more. Going to take off. Harris falls down at the 27. Brock Dodrell making the stop, the leading tackler on that Rocket defense.
And you see Greg Brandon's hand, his plan coming out here in the second half, Mark. Spread the field a little bit more with the empty formation, run vertical routes, and if it's not there, Josh Harris can take off and run with the football. So not running the football as much here, spreading it, and trying to throw the football up the seams against this 3-deep type coverage.
And he's been a lot better this year, completing those mid-range passes. Between 10 and 20 yards. Here he is on the side option. To the boundary with Magner. Tackled immediately by Anthony Jordan, second on that defense with 121 tackles coming in.
And Mark, I don't think this field is real conducive right now for Bowling Green's running game. As you can see, it's an east and west sideways type running game with no chance of a cutback because the field's so soft. So their best bet is probably the quick passing game, running those receivers up the seam.
Well, Bob, we've got a 3rd down and short coming up. And fresh in Harris's mind is his inadequacies on 3rd down last year. 3rd and 3, bent on improving that in this game today. From the option, Harris looks like he's got the first down, and let's go back to Reese Davis.
All right, Mark, Virginia and Virginia Tech. Hokies down by a touchdown, marching 2nd and goal. Kevin Jones break a tackle, get into the end zone. We're locked up at 7 there. And West Virginia can get a share of the Big East title with a victory. They've scored on offense. They've scored on defense. They have a special teams touchdown. They're up 21 on Temple.
A great year for Rich Rodriguez. That gang down in Morgantown.
Maybe as hot as any team in the country right now.
Wilson, one of my favorite players. 1st down and 10. Harris, plenty of time. Gonna tuck it under. Brought down at the 17-yard line. Well, Josh Harris had all day to throw, but good coverage in that secondary, looked like, Bob.
And Toledo, a zone coverage team, Mark, doing an excellent job. Bowling Green, again, came into this game number 2 in the country in total offense, 513 yards a game, 600 yards in offense in 4 of 5 home games. So these fans here are used to seeing this team go up and down the field wearing those orange uniforms.
They used up about 4 minutes on the clock here in the third quarter. This is the type of drive that Holly alluded to that the head coach, Greg Brandon, wanted. Hold on to the ball, keep it. Harris, wide open, touchdown. Charles Sharon with the touchdown.
Mark, that was a great design, a different kind of play action pass than I've seen. They faked it inside zone. Josh Harris 2 steps down the line, he pulls back off the line, throws the ball down the field. That's the first time I've seen that play. That's an excellent design play.
Greg Brandon and his coaching staff tweaking their tendencies and trends a little bit. Something new, a little wrinkle. And we are knotted at 14 apiece. Josh Harris replying to the touchdown late in the first half. Throwing a dart and a strike. We're tied at 14. Back after this. Back in Bowling Green, Ohio, tied at 14. And boy, if this is a sign of things to come in the second half, could see a lot of points here. 4:15 used up on the clock. 8 plays, 71 yards. Sharon, who missed last week's game because of a death in the family, his grandpa passing away, playing with a heavy heart, no doubt. Snags the touchdown pass from Josh Harris. And that was Sharon's 7th touchdown catch this season. And for Harris, the 20th pass this season and the 48th of his career.
Mark, they love to take Charles Sharon, number 1. He's a big, good-looking receiver. They put trips or put 3 receivers to the wide side of the field, leave him into the boundary, a lot of one-on-one coverage. He's opposite the strength of the formation, and they get some great matchups on the weak side of the field with him.
Like they got a clean football out there. Won't be that way for long. That was close. Lance Moore wasn't quite sure where he was. One more look at the touchdown. Nice pass by Harris.
Mark, a lot of different wrinkles in this spread offense. Right here, you're going to see Josh Harris. He fakes it inside zone right here. You're going to see the strong safety suck up, and that leaves the corner one-on-one with the receiver Sharon with no underneath help. So he sucked him towards the line of scrimmage and then throws it inside the corner, Brandon Heflin, but no underneath help from that rover back because Michael Broussard jumped up on the play action. Excellent design to that play.
See if Gradkowski can counter here. First down and 10. Brought down after a gain of about 1. Let's go downstairs to Holly.
Well, guys, we know this is a big game, but you know it's a big game when your starting quarterback, Bruce Gradkowski, before he took the field for this possession, is throwing up. He actually threw up 2 times, and then he kind of laughed and smiled. I think he's surprised himself. He doesn't seem to feel bad. I think maybe nerves taking over right now for Bruce Gradkowski.
Either that, Mark, or turkey.
A little too much.
A little too much or a little undercooked. I mean, Holly's got to get to the bottom of that before the game is over.
Gradkowski might be affected by his youth a little bit, just a sophomore. Certainly a poised one under pressure here. Did a great job eluding one of the tacklers and got it down to the 27-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and about 3 to go for Toledo.
Mark, I remember back to our conversation, we were doing a Penn State game, you and I, and Joe Paterno had a chance to watch Gradkowski play on tape against Pittsburgh or watch the game on television. And Tom Bradley told the story, Penn State's defensive coordinator, Joe Paterno, coming in the office saying, how did we let this guy get away in recruiting out of Pittsburgh? But in reality, he was not that highly recruited, even though he was a great high school quarterback.
Statistically has had an outstanding season. Looking at 3rd down and 3 right now. Clark in motion. Bowling Green coming with some heat. And they pass it to the tight end, complete for the first down, Chris Holmes. A huge, imposing target, converting the third down for the first.
Mark, these tight ends from Toledo, this guy Chris Holmes is 6'6", 265 pounds. You're going to see him.
And we apologize for our technical difficulties in the Toledo Bowling Green game right now. We have people working on that, and we will get the feed restored just as quickly as possible and get you back out to the action for the MAC West Championship. We will continue with our coverage of college football here on ESPN right after this break. Reese Davis back in our college football studios. Again, we apologize for our technical difficulties. Toledo and Bowling Green, the winner takes the MAC West and moves into the Mid-American Conference Championship game. Just as soon as we get our technical difficulties resolved, we'll get you right back out to the game. In the meantime, the news of the day is that Mike Stoops is on his way to Arizona. The Oklahoma co-defensive coordinator will take the job and be introduced at a press conference in just over an hour from now. ESPN's Kirk Herbstreit reporting that story this morning. So Mike Stoops will stay with Oklahoma through the Big 12 championship game, but he is expected to not be there for the bowl game. And assuming that the Sooners, of course, are moving on to the Nokia Sugar Bowl. And, guys, as you look at this situation right now with Mike Stoops, I know that you think it's a tremendous hire for Arizona.
Well, I think it's a great hire. Remember, Arizona has a long history of having great defenses. You got to remember the Desert Swarm in the early 90s, Teddy Bruschi. I mean, this is a university that prides itself in playing defense. And talking with Coach Stoops earlier in the season, he really felt like before he was offered this job finally in Arizona, he thinks that, look at Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll went to USC, actually played some defense in the Pac-10 conference. He thinks that if he just plays a little defense at Arizona, you got a great chance of winning in that conference.
Well, he's got to do a lot more than just play a little defense, because Pete Carroll's going to be able to get the recruits, and he has gotten the recruits from Southern California and the state of California, because it's a tremendous base for high school football and talent for across the nation, because they play so much great football in California. They've got tremendous athletes. Now at Arizona, you've got to compete with Arizona State, which Dirk Cutter's done a nice job there. This year they've stumbled a little bit, but last year they've done a pretty good job going to a bowl last year. But I think the key at Arizona is you have to recruit the athletes first and foremost in the state of Arizona. Then after that, you've got to go to California and branch out. And I think for Mike Stoops, he's got to get on the recruiting trail, because he's behind the 8 ball right now.
And you know what Mike Stoops can do, though, guys? He can go to those high school kids and show them rings, and he can say, look, he has the credentials. He can go to these high school kids and say, you want to be part of something special? What he has to do first and foremost, Mark mentioned it, is get those kids in the state of Arizona who may be going away to the USCs or going away to Ohio State, and keep them at Arizona.
Well, the first thing that teams like to do, they like to win the press conference. And I think from a battle of public perception, certainly this is a win in the press conference. Bob Stoops will be joining us on College Game Day Scoreboard coming up at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. We'll talk about that and other issues regarding Oklahoma. Of course, we're in the middle of our game, Toledo and Bowling Green, and they are still playing in the third quarter. We're having some technical difficulties. Toledo and BG still tied up at 14 at Dwight L. Perry Stadium, because you don't just walk into Dwight L. Perry Stadium and stroll out with a victory. But Toledo is now on the move, as they've now kicked inside the 6-minute mark of the third quarter there. And just as soon as we get everything squared away, we'll get you back out to Bowling Green. Meantime, Virginia Tech and Virginia. This is Matt Schaub looking right down the middle for his tight end, Heath Miller. Schaub on senior day had his parents out there. Al Groh has asked for the crowd to be more enthused at Scott Field. Get rid of the rep ties. Paint your bodies. That's what Al Groh wants. What he doesn't want is Kevin Jones scoring.
And Kevin Jones, you know, we've talked about one of the best running backs in college football, but I think Matt Schaub, is there anybody in college football, guys, who does a better job with a short passing game? Always right on the numbers. A very accurate passer is Matt Schaub.
Right now, those two teams are tied at 7, still fairly early in the second quarter of that game. West Virginia and Temple, the Mountaineers with a victory can get at least a share of the Big East title. Not likely that they will be able to position themselves for the BCS bid. They're still going to a fine bowl game. West Virginia scored on offense, defense, and special teams already against Temple. See all of these Big East teams with 5-1 records. Miami and Pittsburgh, they play tonight. The winner of that game, in all likelihood, will clinch a bid in a BCS game. We're working on our technical difficulties. Toledo and Bowling Green. Toledo's just kicked a field goal, 17-14. Try to get you back out to that game in just a few minutes.
Tom Amstutz, the head coach of Toledo, his team in the lead 17-14 with 5:52 to go in the third quarter. And a few moments ago, Robbins with a field goal to make it 17-14, a 27-yarder, and we apologize for the technical difficulties. We have our problems worked out. We lost the feed a few moments ago, but we are back here at Perry Stadium in Bowling Green, Ohio. The winner of this game gets Miami of Ohio Thursday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN2 for the MAC Championship. And interesting, you're going to have to take our word for it, folks. Robbins did make a field goal from 27 yards out. Important, Bob, you would think, for them to answer the score by Bowling Green.
Definitely, Mark. And while we were away, the fans didn't get a chance to see this. The audience didn't get a chance to see it, but these offenses have heated up. And I think it was critical for Toledo to take that ball and answer Bowling Green's touchdown. Unfortunately, they had to settle for a field goal. They had a wide-open Odom open on a play-action pass. He slipped and fell, but they did get the football down into field position and hit a 22-yard field goal.
There's the kick. Back at the 8-yard line, it's B.J. Lane. Lane. Down an alley out to the 38, and while you were away, let's recap exactly what happened. Odom on a key conversion was made a catch wide open, the freshman. And then in the backfield, Trinity Dawson, and a key conversion on third down, and here's the field goal. Video proof that Robbins made it from 27 yards out. Now 3 of 7 on the season. And now it's the Falcons' opportunity to respond. Josh Harris and that Falcon offense was very efficient on their opening drive of the second half. This is their second possession. First down and 10, Magner in motion. A quick hitter with a nice hole out to the 46, B.J. Pope. Patrick Body made the stop coming up from his safety position. Got a nice little crease in the offensive line there.
He did, Mark, an excellent tackle by Patrick Bodie, the free safety. In Toledo, we mentioned a 3D team, so that safety sits in the middle of the field. And Patrick Bodie, that time 6'2", 200 pounds, excellent tackle.
Gives him a second down and 2. Magner lined up in the slot. Harris keeps it himself and gets the first down at the 48-yard line, brought down by Dodgerel.
Mark, 235 pounds running to the side play right there. The linebacker in good position. What Toledo's doing, they're letting that defensive end close down. It gives a pull read, and then the linebacker switches responsibilities with the defensive end. So a good plan by Lou West. But Josh Harris just too big and strong.
Great job on the ground as well as passing. He's 12 of 13 through the air. They got 13 of 14. Magner into Toledo's side of midfield at the 47. Let's go back to Reese in the studio.
All right, Mark, let's go out now to the Big 12. Check in on Iowa State and Missouri. Missouri's had a fine season trying to finish it off. Cyclones have been decimated by injury, and here they're being cut up by Brad Smith. Kept it himself. Tigers on top 7-0. That game's getting close to halftime, and the Cats have a 7-3 lead on the Vols. 18 straight times Tennessee's beaten Kentucky.
Hey, Reese, I want you to show me a Mark Jones highlight sometime soon. And I'm not talking about my own either. Vols Mark Jones, of course. Second down and 6. Harris keeps it himself. A gaping hole for Josh Harris. The former running back turned quarterback a couple of years ago with a nice run, the first down at the 36, a 12-yard gain. So both teams doing well running the ball.
And Bowling Green loves to go empty and use the offensive guard. Andy Grubb really is the lead blocker for Josh Harris. Grubb will come around right here. He's really the fullback if you're an I formation team. And Josh Harris, Mark, shows that athleticism at 235 pounds. You better keep your head up right there and your eyes on the target. Brandon Heflin, the cornerback from Toledo.
Josh Harris, the son of M.L. Harris, a former National Football League player. Look at those numbers today. 9 rushes for 50 yards. And Robert Haley, backup tackle, shaken up and limping off the field for Bowling Green now.
Bowling Green, Mark, wearing the all-orange uniforms for only the second time this season. I guess they wore them earlier in the year against Central Michigan.
Anything to get the edge. And we saw earlier today on their walk to the stadium, to Perry Stadium here, they were all clad in orange with those special T-shirts with the special message across the front. First down and 10. Harris throws it back the other way to Sharon. Got a good block. Down to the 20-yard line. Charles Sharon, who already has a touchdown reception, got a great block from Scott Merskowski. A 17-yard gain, Bob.
Again, all 3 receivers to the field. They put Charles Sharon into the boundary by himself. They're going to run the jailbreak and pull the lineman out, Mark. But when you have a great receiver like Charles Sharon, you get him on the opposite side of the formation. You see Merkowski right there, the center, come out and get an excellent block.
First down and 10, under 4 minutes to go now in the third quarter. Falcons trailing by a field goal. Harris keeps it on the option and got swarmed back at the 23-yard line. The charge led by Williams. Williams, 9 tackles for loss on the season. That time got to Harris.
And one thing for Bowling Green, you notice Josh Harris runs the ball a lot. I mean, just look at his uniform right there and the mud on his shoulder pad right there. But they have an excellent backup quarterback in Omar Jacobs, 6'4", 220 pounds, a freshman from Delray Beach, Florida. But the reality, Josh Harris, late in the season, Mark, he's going to do whatever he has to do to win this MAC West Conference Championship.
No doubt. Second down and 12. Harris has completed his last 8 passes. Going to run and slips on that bad turf and falls at the 22. Let's go down to Holly.
Well, you're talking about those shirts that the team came wearing this morning to the football game. They actually just got those as a gift today from the coach. It says, "Win the West." That has been their motto all season long. The coach presented these shirts to him and asked them to wear them into the stadium. This is where their journey ends. And he said they've had the motto all year, but today makes all the difference.
Here's a look, Holly, at what they looked like this morning coming to the stadium. The fans braving the cold and windy weather here. Third down and long. Wagner in motion. Plenty of time. Harris threw it. Incomplete, almost picked off at the 20-yard line. A dangerous situation. Ray Turner with the pressure on the play. It'll be ruled incomplete.
You see the very end here. Menifee, the defensive lineman out there, really did have a chance to intercept that, Mark, but he obviously dropped that football.
You said defensive lineman, right?
Well, that's...
Into attempt a field goal now. Susan from, I'm going to say, about 41 yards out. The wind in his face.
And Mark, that plant foot, his left foot, critical to get it down in this muck out there.
5 of 12 from beyond 30. But the numbers defy those pictures. We are knotted at 17 with 2:01 to go in the third. Holly Rowe, what's coming up?
Well, guys, you won't believe what fans went through to get here this morning and to get the best seats in the house. We'll show you our Unsung Hero coming up next.
ESPN's College Football Saturday. Brought to you by Gateway. 50 new products and 3 ways to get there. That's the way things should be. And by Acura. Experience the performance today at your local Acura dealer.
A couple of teams battling for MAC Conference Western Division supremacy. And I don't know what you say about that. Is that there's no rhyme for orange. A little camouflage. Look at the scoring drive, capped by the 41-yard field goal. Each team has scored on each of their respective offensive possessions here in the second half of play.
Mark, you have to be impressed. Bowling Green student body coming back for this football game. You know, it is Thanksgiving break. Student body goes home, but they came back out here to support this football team.
I love that shirt. Friends don't let friends go to Toledo. Couple of schools separated by just 20 miles. Interstate I-75 comes down to the 5. That's Lance Moore. Nice return by Moore out to the 34. More college football coming your way on ESPN at 7:45 Eastern Time. Alabama and Hawaii. A game that has a potential impact on the BCS standings for LSU and USC. A couple of teams who are fighting for a spot in the Nokia Sugar Bowl. And at 3:30 Eastern Time, it's Maryland Wake Forest. 1st and 10. See if Bruce Gradkowski now can answer with a score of his own offensively. Run the ball with Aston Martin, who's seeing his first action of the half. Let's go back to Reese, doing that Virginia thing.
And Virginia Tech in this case. Mark 7-7 on a 3rd down play about halfway through the second. Brian Randall, who Beamer says he's going to go with throughout, finds Mike Emo. Nothing but green grass and opportunity for Emo. Hokey, hokey, hokey high, up by a touchdown. And the State University of New Jersey trying to keep Syracuse from becoming bowl eligible.
Greg Schiano's doing a nice job with the Scarlet Knights. 2nd down and 8. Gradkowski complete to Moore underneath, and he got rocked immediately by Jordan. And let's go down to Holly for more on her unsung hero.
Well, guys, as is with many student sections in college, it's first come, first serve with the tickets. So my unsung hero today are these guys. They got here this morning at 3:30. 4 of these 7 kids camped out at the stadium with nothing but sleeping bags. Tyler Swarden, Tony Graham, Nick Graham, Austin Schuler, Jolie Allen, Chris Myers, and Bruce Vermette. 4 of them are from Bowling Green, 3 of them from Toledo. And when asked why they camped out, their response was, it's football, it's the MAC, and this is a big game for us.
I'll tell you, man, all right, Holly, you know what? Doing that, Bob, without heaters, like us up here, that's really worthy of the unsung hero.
You realize most of the student body, Toledo, Bowling Green, they come from the Midwest, so they're inherently, they're a little more tough, a little tougher than guys that live in the South. I'm talking about you living in Miami.
Give me 60 more degrees, I'd be fine. Meanwhile, Moore went over 100 receptions for the season. Tops in the NCAA. 3rd down and about 2 to go. Trinity Dawson back in the ballgame for Aston Moore. Under a minute to play in the 3rd. A jumbo formation here. Moore, don't think he made it. Short of the 1st down, just beyond the 40. Keon Newsom, of course, once again knifing in to make the stop on Dawson. And it's 4th down. Now, Bob, do you go for it here? You're in a nice part of the field to do it, near enough, you would think, to midfield.
No, Mark, you have to go ahead and punt it. You have to punt the football, and I think what Tom Amstut's doing is waiting to see is the wind. It's hard to tell up here. Maybe Holly can tell us which way the wind is working right now. Obviously, he's going to let it run down to the end of the corner, kick with the wind.
That's going to be, looks like the last play. And we have a timeout. Bowling Green called a timeout. Before time expired here with 2 seconds to go in the 4th.
And obviously, Greg Brandon going to make them punt into the wind, Mark.
And gain every valuable inch, every valuable yard. And Brandon, if we didn't think that he understood the magnitude of this rivalry, he certainly does now. Well, Tuesday night, ESPN's coverage of the ACC Big Ten Challenge presented by 989 begins with a double dip at 7 Eastern. Bracy Wright and the Hoosiers take on Justin Gray in Wake Forest. Then at 9, Dee Brown in Illinois take on McCants, Felton, and Sean May and the Tar Heels. Illinois, North Carolina also available on ESPN HD, now available nationwide. So call your cable operator. So, Bob, a couple of seconds to go in this period. Looking ahead to the fourth quarter, the one thing that seems to be a bit of a common thread is that neither team seems to be able to stop the other team, especially running the ball when they're doing it.
Yeah, Mark, I mean, two explosive offenses, both of them in the top 10 in the country in total offense. A little bit surprising it's only 17-17 right now, but the field and the wind conditions and two good defensive teams, but these offenses are heating up right now as we head into the fourth quarter. Again, a look at Toledo's punt formation, which is different than any I've seen. The big three guys back here. The last time Bowling Green tried to send a guy up over the top of that three-man wedge.
Looking into wind, back is Sharon. Trying to get an angle, but lost ground all the way back to the 7-yard line. Knotted at 17, 3 quarters in the books. This for the MAC West Division title. Josh Harris ready to go to work offensively. Will it be Sharon catching it at the other end? We'll be back. Back at Perry Stadium here in Bowling Green, Ohio. Under gray skies and blustery winds, tied at 17, ready for the start of the fourth quarter. The Falcons with the ball, first down and 10, pinned deep in their own territory. Their worst starting field position of the day. But that man right there, the quarterback, Josh Harris, one of the quasars today, one of the stars, 14 of 16 passing. Total 144 yards and 1 touchdown as well. Runs it this time. Nice job out to the 14-yard line, brought down by Dodro. Here's a look at what they're playing for. The winner of today's game between Bowling Green and Toledo meets the East champion Miami Thursday night on ESPN2 at 7 o'clock. Toledo trying to participate in the MAC title game for the 3rd consecutive year. Miami with a huge win over Central Florida yesterday.
Again, Bowling Green, empty formations, 5 wide formation, trying to spread this field and hit those receivers up the seam.
And once again, it's Magner, the go-to receiver at the 22 for the first down. Well, Bredkowski with 2 touchdown passes today. This team led at the break, 17-14. Lance Moore caught that one. But Josh Harris with 244 total yards of offense. Running, throwing. Tom Amstutz' defense at some point is going to have to make a stand. Will it be on this drive? Both teams offensively have done well here in the second half. Harris to pass. As his receiver, once again, it's Charles Sharon. Complete at the 32. And it's another first down.
Mark, what happens when you have 4 wide receivers, 2 on each side, and Toledo plays a 3-deep coverage? The strong safety right here is going to have to jam and keep this guy from going down the seam. That leaves the corner out here one-on-one by himself. So a real good plan. You see the strong safety taking away the vertical by Magner, and then the out route to Sharon into the boundary. So difficult in 3-deep coverage to stop those seam routes.
First down and 10. Harris. Sharon again. First down at the 41-yard line. He worked on Paul Dye, who finally made the stop. Sharon playing with a heavy heart. But a big game, a 25-yard gain and another first.
Mark, again, Toledo in zone coverage. You're going to see the linebacker, Anthony Jordan, right here is going to chase a receiver out of his zone and leave this curl zone come wide open right there. Charles Sharon, again, Mark, this is a big, good-looking receiver, and zone coverage repeatedly by Toledo. I think they're going to have to play some man-to-man on them to take away some of these combination routes.
There's Magner in motion. They fake the handoff to him. Harris going up top. And good coverage back there in the secondary.
Harrison,
it's incomplete.
For number 84, Justin Martin.
Intended for Justin Martin. Talk about some impressive numbers. 17 of 20 on the game.
And Mark, what's so impressive is how many times he is a critical factor in each play. And I know that sounds silly because he's the quarterback, but think in most offenses, the quarterback just turns and hands that ball off a certain percentage of plays. In this offense, he is the main guy every snap.
Second down and 10. They put a lot on it. Fires a little bit low. And it's ruled incomplete. Intended once again for Sharon.
Mark, again, they're going to rule that incomplete. And you're going to see it's a good call, but the middle of that football field is wide open. Again, definitely an incompletion. Third down and 10 right here.
2 of 6 on third down. They've been able to score each time they've possessed the ball in the second half. Another empty formation. Magner, open, catch, and a first down. That's the Rockets defensively, their biggest fear. They said they had to watch Magner in the slot, Bob.
And Toledo, Mark, is not really a 6-defense scheme. So Anthony Jordan, again, the inside linebacker. You got Magner working on a linebacker who's reading the quarterback. Really, it's stealing right there, sitting down in that zone. So at some point, you have to mix it up and play some man-to-man coverage. Mark, these 5 wide receiver sets, 4 and 5 wide receiver sets, spread that zone coverage so wide.
Magner, Bob, has just gone over 1,000 yards receiving for the season. Here he is in motion. Harris tosses it to Magner on the run. And he's got a little shake in his game. Magner brought down to the 24. Gained about 5 on the play. It'll be second down, about 5 to go. Went over 1,000 yards receiving and answered the call for the basketball team here for Bowling Green when they suffered some injuries. Ended up starting a bunch of games as well. You give me a basketball player, Bob Davie, I'll show you an athlete.
Well, you're reaching a little bit for a compliment because that's all about you because you fancy yourself being a basketball player. But you're right. A bunch of evaluations in football recruiting is done off that basketball program.
Second down and 5. Harris flag down. Harris leaps over a tackler at the 20. But this looks like a hold. And it's going to come back. Here at Perry Stadium, where Greg Brandon's team is trying to get to the MAC Conference Championship game, taking on Toledo. We are knotted at 17. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davie and Holly Rowe. The winner of this game plays Thursday. They will host the title game in the conference against Miami, Ohio.
And I'll tell you what, Mark, we're going to get a hold here on Bowling Green, but you think about this. The 2 biggest rivalry football games this year with the most at stake, Ohio State, Michigan, impacted obviously the Big Ten Championship, Ann Arbor, and now Toledo, Bowling Green right down the road here impacts the MAC West. So a lot of great rivalry games, but these 2 in Ohio, Northwest Ohio, impacts conference championships.
Winner of this game moves on to the title game. The loser, for all intents and purposes, might be done for the season. Incomplete. Intended for Sanders. And the proximity of the 2 schools, Bowling Green and Toledo, fuels the hostility and the malevolence. If you fly into Detroit and hit 275, then get on to 75, it's about an hour drive to Bowling Green. Or about 45 minutes if you're driving a little faster.
And I'm going to tell you this. These teams have played a long, long time, and that's Route 75, but that's the first time it's been called Fueled the Malevolence in this series, Mark. So I got to give you credit. That is a first in this great rivalry.
There's a lot of hostility out there. Harris all day to toss it and gets the first down. B.J. Pope slipped out of the backfield and got the first down all the way at the 12-yard line. Josh Harris so poised under pressure.
Again, four-man rush zone coverage. You're going to watch P.J. Pope right here at the top of the field. Mark, my point again, in 3 deep, this strong safety has to run with that vertical. That leaves that corner all alone out there. And P.J. Pope sits down on the sideline. 3 deep coverage, you got to carry those inside seams. You end up one-on-one out there, the widest receiver on the outside third corner.
Harris in charge. A predetermined run. Josh Harris tackled immediately at the 11-yard line by Anthony Jordan, second on the team in tackles coming into this game. Last season, started at defensive end. This year, they stand him up and put him at the linebacker spot out of that 4-2-5 alignment, which will play for this game.
You're right, Mark. This is his first year standing up, and he's had an excellent season. But this guy right here now comes down to this quarterback, tied football game, MAC championship game. But Bowling Green in good shape with this guy under the center, Mark.
Second down and 10 to go. Throw a screen, complete to Sharon. Touchdown! It wasn't drawn up that way, but they'll take it anyway. It was tipped high into the air, and Charles Sharon ran under it and scored with it. That's his second touchdown catch of the day.
Charles Sharon, who missed last week's game because of a funeral, is back this week, Mark, and having a big-time game.
Sure is, Bob. They lead now. Bowling Green does by 7 points. Tipped up. Sometimes, yeah, it does pay to be a little bit lucky.
At Theaters Christmas Day.
Charles Sharon, Mark, had the game-winning touchdown against Purdue earlier this year. But this kid comes out of Palatka, Florida. Urban Meyer told me the high school videotape of football was so bad they couldn't make any decision. He watched him play basketball, loved his athleticism, and it's a long way from Palatka, Florida to Bowling Green. But this Bowling Green team, Mark, has some athletes on the field.
Sure do, and paid off for them on that last drive. What a drive it was. As Gradkowski soon with an opportunity to respond, but that last drive started on their own 8-yard line. With the 92 yards that they went, 90 were through the air with the passing game. Big split down to the 27. Reese, you have any Mark Jones highlights?
Well, you know, because you asked, Mark, and only because you asked, I tried to deliver. Tennessee and Kentucky. Casey Clausen's team down 7-3. And, of course, he's looking for Mark Jones and his touchdown posse as he shows the referee to his seat in the back. 10-7. Volunteers on top of the catch.
I tell you, Reese can hook it up. Reese can hook it up, man.
Reese, you are creating
a
monster with all this now.
Reese Davis hooking it up in the studio.
Forget about Mike Tirico, Mark. You have taken over as far as versatility.
Aston Martin back in the ballgame now. Goes in motion, flanks out wide. Pass underneath. And they're going to say it's incomplete, intended for Lance Moore. He hit the ground and couldn't hang on to it. It'll be second down and 10. Lance Moore came into the game, the country's leading receiver.
Mark, and he's an academic All-American. Only caught 23 balls all of last year, but in Ohio high school, caught 103, had 103 catches his senior year for 24 touchdowns. Caught 18 balls in one high school game.
Looking at a second down and 10 now, Bob. And Gradkowski kept it on the the side play, and Mitch Hewitt said, "You're not fooling me with that okey-doke." Mitch Hewitt, the senior and the team captain, didn't play because of an injury last week. He's going to give Toledo now a 3rd down and long.
Mark, and the thing we've seen on these 3rd downs for Toledo has been the curl route to Lance Moore, number 1. Last several 3rd and long series, they've come to the curl route. I'm not sure Lance Moore is in this football game right now.
That's Odom in motion. Radkowski wide open and overthrew his receiver, Steve Odom. Odom, the freshman, motioned and got himself open, but it's 4th down.
Mark, you said it exactly right. They had the freshman Steve Odom wide open. The ball thrown a little bit high right there by Radkowski, but there was someone in that throwing lane, a defensive lineman, that made him release the football high. Again, we see this jumbo punt formation by Toledo.
On and Sharon doesn't call for the fair catch at the 38. Sharon with a nice return out to the 48-yard line. A 10-yard return off the punt off the 35-yard boot. When we come back, Josh Harris trying to put a little more distance between Bowling Green and Toledo. We'll be right back.
ESPN's College Football Saturday, brought to you by Hummer. Check out the H2 at Hummer.com. Hummer, like nothing else. And by Peter Pan. This Christmas, discover the timeless story as you've never seen it before. Starts Christmas Day.
That's what they're playing for, among other things, the Peace Pipe, which goes to the annual winner of the Toledo Bowling Green matchup. The winner also gets to hook up and bang hats with Miami of Ohio, the East Division champ in the MAC. That game going to be 7 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN2 Thursday. 1st down and 10 for Josh Harris. A man that's undergone an incredible maturation process going back a couple of years ago. On the run, they give it to B.J. Lane, and Harris extremely impressive on that last drive. Leading his team into the end zone.
Mark, he took advantage of zone coverage, really found some of those underneath routes, then throws the ball to the outside of the field right here, and then got the benefit on the jailbreak screen of good fortune. Charles Sharon takes it into the touchdown.
There's a pass complete to number 1, Charles.
2nd down and 3. Harris keeps it himself onto the side. Brought down at the 43. It'll be 3rd down and about 3 to go. Well, Bowling Green came out and got Coach Brandon's message out of the locker room that we got to hold on to the ball. And they've had some impressive long scoring drives in the second half.
And Mark, the biggest thing, because they've moved the ball, converted 3rd downs, a lot by throwing the football as well as running it, they've had the ball. First half, they only had 21 plays in the entire first half.
They scored on all 3 of their possessions in this half of play. 3rd down and 2 to go. They'll get to the 41 for the 1st down. Harris going to be close. Looks like they're going to spot it a little bit short of the 1st down. Anthony Jordan closing quickly, along with defensive tackle Robert Menifee.
And a good plan by Toledo, Mark. And when you watch the defensive ends and tackles, they're pinching inside. They really want to make Josh Harris bounce that football to the linebackers. And right here, they caused them to do it. 4th down.
Perhaps
the problem, Mark, Bowling Green went for it before on 4th down because they're a shotgun finesse running team. This isn't a gimme, particularly because that field's soft right there. I think he may punt this football, Mark.
It's 4th down in inches. You mentioned they went for it earlier, didn't make it. They're just 0 of 1 on 4th downs today. And Bowling Green now using one of its timeouts. They've got one remaining to Toledo's 3 with 7:18 to go in the fourth quarter. Timeout down to the field. And Holly Rowe, tell us what's coming up. What's up, Holly?
Hey, when we come back, we're going to show you the special safety precautions Bowling Green has taken to protect the goalposts.
Bowling Green with the ball, 4th down and inches to go from the 41. This might be the most definitive play of the ball game.
Mark, and you'd love, if you're going for it, to get that quarterback up under that center.
Harris working out of the shotgun. The option into the boundary. Oh, it's going to be close, and it looks like they got the first down. B.J. Lane made a move back at about the 43. Tom Amstut's not going to get the penalty hold call. There's no flags on the play.
Mark, again, Toledo pinching down inside. Close to being a block in the back right there, but a big first down. That was a lot of work out of the shotgun, pitching that ball on the option on 4th and an inch. The bottom line, it worked.
Greg Brandon helping out with the call and the signal for first down. Keeps possession with the Falcons. 7:14 to go. Harris pitches it downfield to Magner. Might have been better off keeping the ball himself. Magner brought down roughly at the 31 by Bo Martin. Interesting how Harris ran downfield quite a bit before pitching. Bob.
And again, Mark, they use the wide receiver as the pitch back, and it looks right here like he pitches this thing out there 2 hands like a chest pass. But an interesting play. The side zone option, pitches the football out there 2-handed.
Boy.
It's kind of like your chest pass back when you learned the fundamentals of basketball.
Good technique. Better than a bounce pass for him. 2nd down and 2. Lane in a tailback. The give is to Lane, who's brought down to the 30. It'll be 3rd down and short. And the clock running as we approach 6 minutes to go.
Mark, another 3rd down right here, 3rd and 1. Bowling Green doing a good job with the clock, really using just about all 25 seconds right here, because we're down to 5 minutes and about 40 seconds when they snap this football.
So this game plays Miami, Ohio, Thursday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN2 for the MAC title. 3rd and 2.
Again, empty. Look for Toledo to pinch down inside with those defensive ends, Mark, and make this football bounce.
Harris keeps it himself and got the first down. Once again, Josh Harris with tremendously good decision-making, keeping the ball with Bowling Green and keeping that clock running. On this drive, Bob, they've run the ball 7 times and haven't passed it at all.
Mark, you have to love Josh Harris. And we had Purdue earlier in the year after they were defeated by Bowling Green down at Purdue. Purdue's first game of the year, and this kid made a heck of an impression on Joe Tiller and Purdue's staff.
1st down and 10. 5:08 to go. There's going to be a heck of a celebration here at Bowling Green if they could hang on and win. Down to Pope. And Holly, what about the celebration and the goalposts?
Well, guys, if Bowling Green goes on to win this game, the MAC championship will be held here on Thursday. They're very concerned about the goalposts getting torn down because it's the only set they've got. So they've got great security measures, threatened students that they will be expelled from school, and they have even gotten old-fashioned Crisco. They have greased down these goalposts. They went to the store and bought about a half a can of Crisco is all it took to do both goalposts. And guys, you can see it. It's slathered on here, right here. It's going to be very difficult for those students to grab it once they get this going.
I can't believe the unsung hero of the day wasn't the guy putting that Crisco up there on that goalpost. I'm a little disappointed he went with the peace pipe.
I would have peeled that too, Bob. I'm with you. It's the guy that got up there and put the Crisco on the goalpost. P.J. Pope.
Yeah, these guys, forget about the Crisco, Mark.
They're
these
coming
guys
over the
can
railing.
Deal with anything. Look at the look on their faces down there.
They might have their anti-Crisco jackets and pants on.
Yeah, what's the OU? You know, Bowling Green opens up with Oklahoma next year. Not to look. He's scouting for the Sooners.
Don't sleep on the MAC. Ask Pittsburgh. Ask Purdue. Among others that were upset. Ask Alabama. Ask Maryland. 10th play of the drive.
Josh Harris now under center, Mark, on this 3rd down and 3.
The first pass of the drive into the end zone. Touchdown, Sharon! Oh, what a grab!
They're happy, excited in Palatka, Florida right now, Mark. That was a big-time catch. And you have to love the call. Comes out of it because it worked. The bootleg on 3rd down and 3. Throws the ball back to the single receiver side. And I hope that Crisco holds up.
Harris to Sharon for the 3rd time today. And Bowling Green trying to cement a date in stone on Thursday against Miami, Ohio, right here for the MAC title game. Sharon playing with a heavy heart, commemorating the memory of his grandfather who recently passed. And what a day it's been for his quarterback. Back with more after this. Bowling Green up by a couple of touchdowns now with 3:29 to go, and what a day for Charles Sharon, his 3rd touchdown catch of the day.
And Mark, 8 catches for 120 yards, 3 touchdowns, and again, they put 3 wide receivers to the field. He's into the boundary one-on-one, and that was a great vertical jump to go up and make that play. Puts Bowling Green up by 14.
Falcons have scored on all 4 possessions here in the second half. Rockets got to get busy in a hurry. Well, Gronkowski has had so many heroics during the course of this long and arduous season. Does he have one more miracle left in him? We'll find out when we come back. Toledo under fire right now, trailing by 14 points, 3:20 to go. The Rockets, though, with all 3 timeouts remaining. Mark Jones along with Bob Davey and Holly Rowe down in the field. The winner of this game gets Miami of Ohio in the MAC title game on Thursday.
And Mark, right now Toledo down by 14. I know that's a pretty good mountain to climb, but Gronkowski, 98-yard drive against Pittsburgh in the waning seconds or minutes of that game to beat Pitt. So this quarterback's been there before now.
Got it. 1st down and 10. 9 of 17 on the day. 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. Completes this one. 38 to Chris Holmes. They got to pick up the tempo here now and manage the clock. He's had a key 3rd down conversion earlier in the second half.
One thing that helps, if you're a no-huddle team, by design, every snap, obviously, Mark, all you do now is just pick the tempo up a little bit, but you're geared for the mechanics of this.
2nd down and 1. Gronkowski going to take off. Gets the 1st down. They'll stop the clock while they move the chains. Ball's going to be marked with the 42. Toledo trying to keep its streak of bowl appearances alive. They went to the Motor City Bowl the last couple of years. They've also played in the MAC title game the last 2 years. 1st and 10 with 2:39.